my favorite story, and it goes back to Nashville. So many of your career-defining moments have happened in Nashville, but it was the story of Randy Savage and the Waffle House. And I remember this was when Nick was still running his own promotion opposite to Jarrett. So we didn't get to see these matches, but people might not know you had a long program with Randy Savage for the Mid-America title, and you guys had great matches. And Bobby Eaton was involved in that too, and they had great matches at the time. But Randy,
it was good.
He made more.
Randy was starting, and I was kind of starting out too, and he was starting to develop his Macho Man gimmick. And I've often said that Randy Poffo morphed into Randy Savage, who then morphed into Macho Man. Because it didn't matter what time of day you saw Randy in those days, he was always full-blown Macho Man mode. You saw him at 6 o'clock in the morning, oh, yeah, that's 6 o'clock. 12 o'clock at night, oh, yeah, he was Macho Man 24 hours a day, and that's what he morphed into. But in the Waffle House story, it was late at kind of about 12 o'clock at night. We'd had the match. This was on a Wednesday night. We had the local matches in Nashville on Wednesday, and I had wrestled him that night, and he had went out with Rip Rogers to a local Waffle House, I think on Harding Place in Nashville, and they live close to there. And he went in, and Savage was wanting to get something to eat, and he was always, kind of intense anyway. And he was trying to order, and a guy came through the door, and he worked there on first shift. He was a cook on first shift, I found out later. And he said, hey, everybody, I'm getting married. And they just stopped everything. And everybody said, congratulations. And they were laughing and applauding. Well, that stopped Randy from giving his order. And he was hungry, and he's irritable anyway. And so when it kind of died down, when you going to get married? I'm going to get married here. And finally, Randy couldn't leave it alone. And he says, and it kind of got quiet in there. And it's only Randy and Rip and the cook. There's the only ones in the Waffle House. And Randy says, who gives a fuck? Oh, my God. Well, that's a direct challenge to the guy. And the guy was embarrassed, and now he's got to make a stand for his woman. So he says, well, you better give a fuck.
That was a witty riposte.
You better give a fuck. Like, well, why would he even give a shit anyway? And Savage says, well, I don't. He says, well, you, by God, better. And so the guy started walking toward Randy's in the booth, and Randy stood up. And Randy says, we got a problem. Guy says, I don't know, do we? And all of a sudden, the fight just started breaking out. And they started swinging at each other, and they had a big jukebox there. I call it the Wurlitzer jukebox, and they wallowed in front of that for a while. And finally, the guy pulled a knife, and Randy hopped over the counter, and he grabbed a knife. And now they were in the seats like old Earl Flynn, Mouseketeer movie, and they were trying to sword fight each other. And somebody said, here come the cops. So the guy, the cook, he ran out the door. And Savage looked down. He didn't even have a knife. He had a butter knife in his hand, so he couldn't have cut the guy anyway. So finally the cops come in. Everybody knew Savage in Nashville because, the TV, he was all over that TV. And a lot of people watched wrestling matches in those days. And even though if you weren't even a wrestling fan, if you come by a guy doing an interview and saying, oh, yeah, well, you're going to stop and watch him because sounded like a crackhead years before crackheads were even invented. So, and the cops knew him, and they come in and said, okay, Randy, calm down. No, man. He was all excited. They couldn't calm him down. And finally they said, well, we're going to have to get some cuffs on you. And so they tried to get cuffs on him, and Savage starts fighting them. And they can't get it on him, and one pulls a mace out, tries to mace Savage, misses. He hits the other cop in the eye. The other cop is laying around, and he drops his club. Now Savage picks up his club, and now Savage wasn't trying to hit the cop. The cop was trying to hit him. He just blocking, and finally the cop pulls back. Now more cop cars are coming. Now, if anybody's familiar with a Waffle House, it has floor-to-ceiling windows.
Yes.
Those full lengths. You can see everything inside there from outside. So here comes some more cops. Finally, here comes the lieutenant in. He knew Randy, and he called him by his name. He said, now, Randy, calm down. And no, man, you letting the other guy get away. He's the one. I was attacked, this, that, and the other. And they try to get him again. They can't get him. So finally, they said, bring the dog. So when they brought the K9 in there, the K9 unit, and he went after Savage. And the old saying, he ripped him a new asshole. Well, That was true in this case because that dog bit Randy on his butt cheek about 6-8 inches. And they finally got him handcuffed, got him in the car, and got him down to the station and locked him up. And I didn't see him till Saturday night in Chattanooga. And he said, look, this is what this dog did to me. He pulled his trunks down, a big bite mark on his ass. I said, well, but that's what happened. That was
what this dog did to me, man.
Oh, yeah. And I bet, and Randy never forgot anything. If anybody ever slighted Randy at all, he never forgot. And I bet, to his dying day, I bet Randy sometimes sat up at night and saying, I got to go kill that dog. Because he always wanted to get back at somebody. But, Savage couldn't leave it alone because the big article came out about it. Well, shit, Randy couldn't let that shit go by. He called a writer down at the local paper, the Tennessean in Nashville, and he gave his version. Of course they're gonna carry it. And he came in there, but he was very complimentary of the Nashville cops and, said it's a misunderstanding and they ran it. So, but nothing came of it. I think Nick Goulas gave a donation to the damn police fraternity order or whatever, and they had it reduced and thrown out or something. But he never went to court on it. I think he may have paid a small fine. That's it.
That used to be the way that everything got covered up and smoothed over. Was the promoter was so well known in town and so well connected, they'd give a donation to the appropriate offended party or do whatever, and guys would get away with shit, so it didn't hurt the business. And try that now with it'd be on the internet in 3 minutes anyway. But
but that's the way it worked, and in a lot of ways probably worked better because Randy didn't really hurt anybody. He just got a big bite on the ass, and no cops got hurt, nothing. But even though, a lot of people fight cops all the time, hell, nothing happens to them either. So shit. I guess Randy was just a forerunner of all that stuff.
They say he would have been a TMZ
he would have.
poster boy.